Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving deep into the world of coin collecting with a special focus on one of the most fascinating coins from American history, the 1965 Washington quarter. This coin might look ordinary to the untrained eye, but it has a story full of mystery, transition, and hidden value. If you have one of these coins in your collection or lying around in your change jar, you might want to pay attention, because some of these quarters have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. So let's uncover the secrets of the 1965 Washington quarter. Let's go back in time to the early 1960s. In the United States, silver was becoming increasingly expensive. For decades, quarters were made from 90% silver. But by the mid-1960s, the rising price of silver made it impractical for the U.S. Mint to continue using the metal in everyday coins. Something had to change. Enter the Coinage Act of 1965. This major legislation changed the composition of U.S. coins. Starting in 1965, dimes and quarters would no longer be made with silver. Instead, they would be produced using a copper-nickel clad composition. This was a dramatic shift that impacted millions of coins and ushered in a new era for American coinage. The Washington quarter was one of the first coins affected. From 1932 to 1964, quarters were struck with 90% silver. But beginning in 1965, the silver was removed and replaced with a clad composition consisting of an inner core of pure copper and an outer layer of copper-nickel. While the coin retained its original design featuring George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, its metal content changed forever. The 1965 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Interestingly, no mint mark appears on this coin, which was standard at the time for coins from Philadelphia. Over 1.8 billion quarters were produced that year, making it one of the most common coins in circulation. But while the quantity was massive, not all coins were created equal. Due to the high volume of production and the new coin composition, quality control was sometimes inconsistent. As a result, collectors can find various errors, die varieties, and conditions that make some 1965 quarters much more valuable than others. In fact, a small number of quarters struck in 1965 were accidentally made using the old silver planchets. These rare error coins are the crown jewels for collectors. Now here is where things get really interesting. A few 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover 90% silver planchets from 1964. These silver error quarters look very similar to the regular clad coins, but they are much heavier and produce a distinct ring when dropped on a hard surface. They also do not have the copper-colored edge that is typical of clad coins. These error coins are extremely rare, and their value can be astronomical. Depending on the condition, a genuine 1965 silver quarter has sold for anywhere from several hundred to over $7,000 at auction. Some of the most pristine examples in mint state condition can fetch even more. If you think you might have a 1965 quarter that feels a bit heavier or lacks the copper edge, you should definitely have it tested or appraised. Professional coin grading services like PCGS or NGC can confirm whether your coin is one of these legendary silver errors. Beyond the silver errors, there are other 1965 Washington quarters that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. These include double die obverse, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and coins with die cracks or other striking anomalies. For example, a double die obverse shows visible doubling of the lettering and numbers, particularly the word Liberty and the date. These coins are quite collectible and can sell for anywhere from $50 to several $100 depending on condition. Off-center strikes are another popular type of mint error. These coins were not aligned properly during the minting process, resulting in a portion of the design missing. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin. Some off-center 1965 quarters have sold for over $500. Like all collectible coins, the value of a 1965 Washington quarter depends heavily on its condition. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with higher numbers indicating better preservation. Uncirculated coins with no signs of wear can command higher prices, especially if they are certified by a professional grading service. Coins graded MS-65 and above are particularly desirable. A perfectly struck and preserved quarter from 1965 in mint state condition might not be worth thousands like a silver error. but it could still bring in between $20 and a few $100 depending on appeal and rarity. So what is the current market value of a 1965 Washington quarter in today's coin collecting world? The regular copper-nickel clad version in circulated condition is generally worth its face value of 25 cents. However, in uncirculated or mint state condition, values can range from $5 to $50. High-grade examples certified by top grading services can go for much more. As for the silver era coins, the market remains strong. In recent years, collectors have paid anywhere from $2,000 to nearly $10,000 for authenticated 1965 silver quarters. That is a huge return on investment for a coin that originally cost only 25 cents. Keep in mind that the coin market can fluctuate based on demand, metal prices, and collector interest. But overall, coins with rare errors or exceptional condition will always have strong value to serious numismatists. If you think you have a valuable 1965 quarter, here's what to do. First, examine the coin closely. Look at the edge to see if the copper layer is visible. If it is not and the coin feels heavier, you may have a silver error. You can weigh it with a precise scale. A standard clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs 6.25 grams. Next, consider having your coin authenticated and graded by a reputable service. This adds credibility and can significantly boost the value at sale. Once graded, you can sell the coin through auction houses, online platforms, or local coin dealers. The 1965 Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. It represents a turning point in American coin history and carries hidden value for those who know what to look for. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, keep your eyes peeled for this iconic coin. You never know, that quarter you found in your couch cushions might just be worth thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, we are diving deep into the world of American coinage with a special focus on the 1966 Washington quarter dollar. If you think this coin is just pocket change, think again. Some of these coins are worth serious money today, and we are going to explore why. So grab your coin jars, your magnifying glasses, and let's get started. Let's begin with a little history. The Washington quarter was first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative coin, but its popularity led to it becoming a permanent fixture in American currency. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it features a profile of George Washington on the obverse, with the word Liberty at the top and In God We Trust inscribed to the left. The reverse side shows a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows above two olive branches. Now let's jump to 1966. This year is very special in the world of coin collecting. Why? Because it falls right in the middle of a unique and transitional time in United States minting history. Just 1 year before, in 1965, the U.S. Mint stopped making quarters with 90% silver. Due to a silver shortage and rising silver prices, the mint transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition. This change also applied to the 1966 quarter, which means it contains no silver. It is composed of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, but that's not the only unusual thing about 1966 quarters. During the years 1965 to 1967, the U.S. Mint suspended the use of mint marks on coins. That means there are no small letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco on 1966 quarters. This was done to discourage coin hoarding during a time of transition and to make it less obvious where coins were produced. Now let's talk numbers. In 1966, over 821 million quarters were minted. That is a huge number. Because of this massive mintage and the lack of silver content, most 1966 quarters are only worth face value in circulated condition. However, there are some important exceptions. Condition matters a lot. Uncirculated 1966 quarters, especially those that are certified as MS-65 or higher by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, can sell for much more than 25 cents. A regular 1966 quarter in brilliant uncirculated condition might bring anywhere from $2 to $20 depending on its quality. But some ultra-high-grade coins with sharp strikes and nowhere can fetch even higher prices. Now here's where things get exciting. In rare cases, collectors have discovered 1966 quarters with mint errors, and those coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Some of the most sought-after errors include double dies where the design is struck twice, giving a ghostly or doubled image, especially around the lettering or the date. Another valuable error is an off-center strike where the coin was not properly aligned during minting. Some of these can be dramatically misaligned, and those are very desirable. Then you have clipped planchets, which occur when part of the coin is missing due to a miscut blank. Also worth noting is the rare transitional error where a 1966 quarter was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet left over from 1964. Although extremely rare, these coins are a holy grail for collectors and can sell for thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, some of the highest prices ever paid for a 1966 Washington quarter include a rare specimen graded MS-68 which sold for over $11,000. These top-grade examples are extremely rare because most coins went straight into circulation and were worn down over time. Now let's talk about how you can tell if your 1966 quarter might be valuable. First, inspect it under a bright light or magnifying glass. Look for a sharp strike, clear details, and a strong luster. If the coin has no visible wear and still has that original mint shine, it might be uncirculated. Second, check for any strange features like doubling, odd textures, or off-center designs. These are often indicators of error coins. If you find something unusual, it is a good idea to have the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. You might be wondering, what is the current market value of a 1966 quarter today in 2025? Well, in general, a circulated 1966 quarter is still worth about 25 cents. However, high-grade examples certified by PCGS or NGC can sell between $15 and $200 depending on their condition. Error coins, as we mentioned, can go anywhere from $100 to over $5,000 based on the rarity and demand. And if you happen to own one of those elusive silver planchet errors, you could be looking at a five-figure payday. Let's wrap things up with a few tips for coin collectors. Always check your pocket change. Rare coins still show up in circulation and you might get lucky. Keep your coins in a safe, dry place, preferably in coin holders or flips, to preserve their condition. Learn how to grade coins or consult with an expert before selling anything that looks unusual. And finally, stay informed by subscribing to channels like this one where we bring you the latest info on valuable coins. We are going to dive deep into the fascinating world of the 1967 Washington quarter-dollar coin, a piece of American coinage that might just be hiding a treasure trove of value and historical importance in your pocket change or coin jar. This unassuming quarter may not seem like much at first glance, but if you stick around, you'll learn why collectors and coin enthusiasts are searching for specific examples that are worth far more than 25 cents. In fact, some rare specimens have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, and the reasons why may surprise you. So let's get right into it. The Washington quarter has a long and proud history. First minted in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, this iconic coin featured a portrait of America's first president on the obverse, and over the years it has become one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. However, by the time we reached the year 1967, some very important changes had taken place. In the world of coinage, due to the coin shortage of the early 1960s and the rising price of silver, the United States Mint made the historic decision to remove silver from circulating dimes and quarters starting in 1965, and this is where the 1967 quarter becomes particularly interesting. Unlike earlier Washington quarters, which contained 90% silver, the 1967 version was made from a clad composition consisting of an outer layer of copper nickel bonded to a core of pure copper. The total composition was 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it a distinct look and feel. This change marked a new era in coinage and meant that quarters minted in 1967 no longer had intrinsic metal value tied to silver content, but that doesn't mean they're not valuable today. In fact, quite the opposite is true for certain rare varieties and high-grade examples. The total mintage of the 1967 Washington quarter was staggering, with over 1.5 billion coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And that's right, there were no mint marks used in 1967 as part of an effort to discourage coin hoarding by collectors. During this transitional period, no quarters in 1967 were struck at the Denver or San Francisco mints for circulation, and all business strike quarters were produced without mint marks. Despite the massive mintage, there are still plenty of hidden gems to look out for that are worth considerably more than face value. One of the key factors that determine the value of a 1967 Washington quarter is its condition or grade. Coins that have survived in near perfect condition are known as mint state or MS coins and can command impressive premiums among collectors. For example, a 1967 quarter graded MS-67 by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC can sell for over $200 and even more if it has exceptional eye appeal, sharp details and strong luster. Coins graded MS-68 are extremely rare and can fetch prices upwards of $2,000 or more, depending on demand and the presence of any unique characteristics. Another variety that excites collectors is the full strike or full drum lines variety, which refers to sharply struck coins where the details on the reverse, especially on Washington's hair or the eagle's feathers, are fully defined. Some of these sharply struck examples are found in special mint sets or SMS coins, which were sold to collectors by the mint during the years when regular proof sets were not being issued, from 1965 to 1967. These special mint set coins have a slightly different finish than regular business strikes and are often better struck, though not quite proof quality. They can show incredible detail and are particularly collectible in high-grade sets. Also worth noting that some errors and anomalies have been discovered on 1967 Washington quarters, which can add significantly to their value. Among these are double die obverse varieties, where the date or lettering appears doubled due to a misalignment in the die during the striking process. These are rare but can be worth several $100s or more depending on the severity and clarity of the doubling. Off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets and other mint errors can also dramatically increase the value of a 1967 quarter, with some of the most dramatic errors selling for thousands in auction settings. So how do you determine if your 1967 quarter is valuable? Well, first take a close look at the condition. Is it heavily worn or does it still retain some of its original shine and detail? If it looks exceptionally sharp, it may be worth submitting to a grading service. Second, check for any unusual features such as doubling off-center strikes or other visible anomalies. Finally, if you suspect you have a special mint set coin, look for the slightly more reflective surface and finer detail. Often these are found in original packaging, but they do turn up loose as well. Now let's talk current market value. As of today, a typical 1967 quarter in circulated condition is still worth face value of 25 cents due to its lack of silver. However, uncirculated examples, especially in mint state condition, can range from $5 to $50, and as mentioned earlier, MS-67 examples can bring $200 to $400 depending on the market. Coins in MS-68 condition are rare, but if found can sell for over $2,000, with the highest known sale on record being over $8,000 for a top population example with flawless surfaces and eye appeal. Errors and special mint set coins also trade hands on auction platforms such as eBay, heritage auctions and great collections, with prices ranging from $10 to over $1,000 depending on rarity and demand. In conclusion, the 1967 Washington quarter may not contain silver, but it holds a unique place in numismatic history as part of America's transition from precious metal coinage to clad compositions. With over 1.5 billion struck, it's a common coin in most cases, but hidden among those billions are rare high-grade varieties, special mint set specimens and dramatic mint errors that can be worth serious money. So next time you're going through your pocket change, keep an eye out for that plain-looking 1967 quarter, because it just might be a small fortune in disguise. We are diving deep into the story of the 1991 D Washington quarter dollar coin. This isn't just your average pocket change. Oh no, this coin could potentially be worth much more than 25 cents, and in some cases a whole lot more so. What makes this coin so interesting, and what should you be looking for? Let's get into it. First, a little history lesson. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American coinage since 1932, when it was introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a left-facing portrait of our first president with the word liberty above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the left, and the year below. Now fast forward to 1991. This was a transitional period for the U.S. Mint as it was refining its coin production processes while still using traditional clad compositions. The Denver Mint produced millions of these coins in 1991, and you can tell you have one from that facility by spotting the small d Mint mark on the obverse just to the right of Washington's ponytail. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint struck over 629 million of these coins in 1991, making it a very common coin in circulation. However, common doesn't always mean worthless, especially when it comes to coin collecting. Specific features can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. So how do you know if your 1991 Washington quarter is valuable? Let's break it down. First up, condition. The number one factor that determines the value of most coins is grade. A quarter fresh from the bank in 1991 might be worth face value today, but one that has been preserved in brilliant uncirculated condition or professionally graded as mint state can bring in big money. A 1991 quarter graded MS-67 or higher by PCGS or NGC can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100 depending on demand and appeal. Next, let's talk about errors and varieties. This is where things can get really exciting. Coin errors can happen during the minting process, and they can significantly increase a coin's value. For the 1991 quarter, known errors include double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and even coins struck on the wrong metal planchets. These error coins are highly collectible and often sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the rarity and condition. For example, if you find a 1991 quarter with doubling on the date or lettering known as a double die that can command a premium, a clean, well-defined double die can sell for well over $100 or more. Another thing to keep an eye out for is full strike details. Sometimes even regular coins show exceptional sharpness and luster, which collectors prize even without an error. A coin with perfect luster and no contact marks can sell for a good amount when certified by a professional grading service. Let's also talk about the silver myth. Some people wonder if 1991 quarters are silver. The answer is no. All standard circulation quarters made in 1991 were made of copper and nickel clad, not silver, unless the quarter was part of a special set like a commemorative edition, which is not the case for regular 1991 quarters. There is no silver content. Now let's get into current market value. As of this year, the average 1991 quarter in circulated condition is worth its face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples can sell between $2 and $10 depending on the grade. A coin graded MS-66 can go for around $40 to $75, while an MS-67 example can reach up to $200 or more. The record price for a 1991 Washington quarter was over $1,000 for a top-graded example sold at auction. So what does this mean for you? Should you be checking your pocket change? Yes, absolutely. You never know what you might find. A rare error or high-grade coin could be sitting unnoticed in your change jar or an old roll of quarters. When searching for valuable coins like the 1991 quarter, make sure you examine them under good lighting and use a magnifying glass if possible. Look for sharp details, clean fields, and of course any signs of doubling or other mint errors. It's also worth noting that the coin market is always shifting. Demand from collectors affects the prices coins fetch at auction or from dealers. Coins with strong eye appeal, low populations, and high grade and verified errors will always attract interest. If you think you have a valuable coin, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Graded coins are easier to sell and often command much higher prices because buyers trust third-party certification. So let's wrap it up. What have we learned today? The 1991 Washington quarter may seem like ordinary pocket change, but with the right features it can be worth a lot more. Check for mint errors, high-grade conditions, or coins with exceptional eye appeal, and always handle coins carefully to preserve their value. Keep hunting, keep learning, and keep collecting. You never know what small treasure might turn into a big payday. If you're into coins, collectibles, and stories behind rare money, you've landed in the right place. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating history and current market value of the 1996 Washington quarter. Yes, the Philadelphia minted 1996 quarter might look ordinary, but there's more to this 25-cent piece than meets the eye. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover what makes this coin so interesting and possibly worth big money. The history of the 1996 Washington quarter. First things first, let's talk about the origin of the Washington quarter. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features a bust of George Washington based on a 1786 sculpture by Jean-Antoine Houdon. The reverse, until 1998, displayed the classic heraldic eagle design with wings spread and a bundle of arrows in its talons. Now the 1996 quarter is part of this long-standing design tradition. It was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why you'll see the letter P just above the date. In 1996 the Philadelphia Mint struck over 925 million Washington quarters. That's a huge number, but as always the devil is in the details. Why 1996 P quarters can be valuable. So you might be wondering, with almost a billion coins minted, why would this quarter be worth more than 25 cents? Well, here's the thing: even among common coins, some end up having errors, varieties, or high-grade conditions that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. Let's break that down. 1. Mint errors. Certain 1996 P quarters have been found with rare mint errors. For example, some have off-center strikes, double dies, or planchet issues. An off-center strike happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to appear shifted. Double die errors mean parts of the design like the lettering or date look blurry or doubled. Collectors pay a premium for these mistakes because they're unique and usually very rare. Some 1996 P quarters with dramatic errors have sold for over $100, and in some cases even up to $300 depending on the error type and condition. 2. High-grade coins. Another factor that boosts value is the coin's grade. Grading refers to the condition of the coin based on luster, detail, and wear. Coins graded MS65 and above, especially MS67 or higher, are rare for circulated quarters from the 90s. If you happen to have a 1996 P quarter in near perfect condition with sharp edges, no scratches, and full detail, it could be worth significantly more than face value. In fact, according to auction records, a 1996 P Washington quarter graded MS68 by PCGS sold for over $1,500. That's right, a coin you might overlook in pocket change could actually be worth more than $1,000 if it's in top condition. 3. Full strike and I appeal. Beyond errors and grades, collectors also look for coins with strong strikes and great eye appeal. A full strike means every detail on both sides of the coin is fully and clearly minted. No weak spots, no fading, just crisp detail. Combine that with strong luster and no contact marks and you have a coin collector's dream. Coins with all these qualities get snapped up quickly and can bring big money in the right auction. Current market value in 2025. Now let's talk about what these coins are doing on the market today in 2025. For circulated coins, the average 1996 P quarter is still only worth its face value of 25 cents, but when it comes to mint state examples and rare errors, that's where things get interesting. Here's a breakdown of recent average sales. 1996 P quarter in MS63 condition sells for about $5 to $10. MS65 condition typically ranges from $15 to $25. MS67 examples go for $100 to $200. MS68 examples can fetch over $1,500 depending on eye appeal and demand. Rare error coins, depending on the type, have sold anywhere from $50 to over $300. So yes, some of these coins are definitely worth looking out for. How to find or identify valuable ones. Now if you want to see if your 1996 P quarter might be valuable, here's what to look for. First, check the coin under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any doubling in the date or lettering. Check if the strike is centered or off. Inspect for sharpness in the hair detail on Washington's bust and feathers on the eagle. If the coin is in exceptional shape, consider submitting it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Final thoughts. So there you have it. The 1996 P Washington quarter might seem like an everyday coin, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be a small fortune hiding in plain sight. Whether you're a casual collector or just curious about coins in your change, it's worth taking a closer look. Who knows, maybe that old quarter on your dresser is worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a rare 1996 P quarter or any other valuable coin. If you're into coins and curious about the hidden treasures in your pocket change, then today's video is going to blow your mind. We're talking all about the 2020 D Washington quarter dollar, and trust me, some of these coins are worth a lot more than just 25 cents. You might be wondering, why would a recent coin like this be worth big money? And the answer lies in its unique history, design, errors, mintage, and collector demand. So make sure to stick around because we're going deep into the coins background, its possible values, and what collectors are currently paying in the market. Let's start with the basics. The 2020 D Washington quarter comes from the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that ran from 2010 to 2021, celebrating national parks and historic sites in each state and U.S. territory. In 2020 there were 5 designs released, but one of the most talked about and collectible ones is the Salt River Bay quarter from the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Tallgrass Prairie quarter from Kansas, among others. Now what makes the 2020 D version unique is that it was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small letter D on the front of the coin. The obverse or front still features the classic portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan back in 1932. But here's where things get exciting. The reverse of each 2020 quarter in this program features a different design and Collectors are looking closely at each one for rare die varieties and mint errors. One of the most valuable things to look out for on the 2020 D quarter is what's called a WDDR or double die reverse. These are coins where the reverse image appears to be slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. If you find one of these, they can sell for anywhere between $50 and a few hundred depending on condition, but there's more. Some 2020 quarters also have what's known as a struck through grease error or die chip error, which are small minting flaws that collectors love. Because they're rare and visually interesting in perfect uncirculated condition, a 2020 D Washington quarter, especially from the Salt River Bay series, can fetch anywhere from $5 to $20 just for being in mint state 66 or higher. But if you get into the high grades like MS67 or MS68, the price skyrockets and can go over $100 or even $200 at auction. And here's something even more exciting: there are certain coins from this year that were submitted to grading companies like PCGS and NGC and came back with the highest grade possible, and those coins can be worth over $1,000 to the right collector. But remember, not every coin is a jackpot. A circulated 2020 D quarter is usually worth face value unless it has a noticeable error or is in near perfect condition. Still, it's worth checking your pocket change because rare finds are out there and people are still discovering valuable coins in everyday transactions. Let's talk market trends for a moment. As of now in 2025, the coin market has seen increased interest in modern era coins and high-grade modern quarters. Collectors who used to focus only on older silver coins are now paying attention to modern issues, especially low mintage or error. Examples like the 2020 D quarter auctions have shown strong results, with multiple 2020 quarters selling for big money due to grading and rarity. And with silver and precious metal interest staying high, collectors are turning toward alternative investments, including coins with unique history and low populations. If you want to know whether your coin is valuable, you can do a few things. First, check the coin for signs of doubling or striking errors using a magnifying glass. Second, look for high luster and minimal scratches or wear, which could mean it's in uncirculated condition. Third, consider submitting your coin to a grading company, especially if it looks nearly flawless. Graded coins hold more value and are more attractive to serious collectors. And finally, always check auction sites and online marketplaces to see what similar coins have sold for recently. That gives you the best idea of current market value. To sum it all up, the 2020 D Washington quarter might just be sitting in your change jar or wallet, and if you know what to look for, it could be worth much more than 25 cents. Rare errors, high grades, and collector demand have made these coins hot items in the coin community, so keep an eye out, inspect your change, and maybe you'll uncover a hidden gem. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more awesome coin videos just like this one. Until next time, happy collecting and good luck hunting for your next valuable coin.